Over the past 4 years, slap fighting has become an internet sensation, getting over 1 billion views and being seen as a sport by millions of people around the world. But when I went to look into slap fighting and see what it was all about and maybe even get involved in the storylines, I found nothing. So I decided to sit down for hours and hours on end watching slap fight after slap fight from 4 different leagues and have compiled all the information you need to know about slap fighting so you can start watching or just get a better understanding of what slap fighting is. But before we take a look at the leagues, we must first understand what slap fighting is and the basic rules of a slap fight. In a slap fight, you have 2 participants who take turns slapping each other for a specific number of rounds, or in some cases they go until one participant is unable to continue either by knockout or forfeit. Well, that's the basic rules. Let's begin. The first league is called the SlapFIGHT Championship and was started in 2017 by CEO JT Tilley, and at first I didn't think there would be much story behind each fight, but when you get to know the characters it's like watching WWE. Early on in the SlapFIGHT Championship we were introduced to some huge names to remember that will play a big part in the story and success of the league, like Frank the Tank, the Crazy Hawaiian, Wolverine, Darius the Destroyer and Rocky, so watch out for some of those fighters. Although the SlapFIGHT League was made in 2017, the first public event on their channel was the first round of the heavyweight tournament, a fight between Frank the Tank and Zeus, in which Frank claimed the victory and was becoming a fan favourite. But if we fast forward to the semi-finals of the tournament, we see 19-year-old Darius the Destroyer taking on Big Mike, in which Darius took an unexpected win and after a dominant performance even went on to win the whole tournament, being the first ever slap fight heavyweight champion. But would this be a short-lived championship, as his next opponent is slap fighting beast Frank the Tank? But don't worry, again Darius dispatched his fellow competitor with ease and people were starting to doubt him less and less, as he was showing the audience that to be a great slap fighter you don't need size or age, but technique, skill and a lot of training. But speaking of size and skill, in Slap Fight 3 we're introduced to a heavy hitter that goes by the name The Crazy Hawaiian when he dropped his opponent with a devastating slap in his first ever video appearance. During this event we also saw Darius once again defend his title against opponent Wolverine, which is definitely a name to remember. This fight was a controversial one with many people disagreeing with the eventual decision, but after 7 grueling rounds the fight went to judge's decision and
your winner tonight by judge's decision, out of the blue corner, Darius the Destroyer.
And in the super heavyweight category, The Crazy Hawaiian went on a winning streak, beating Prototype, Chuckles, BMF and more, whilst another relatively unknown super heavyweight fighter took the spotlight. Solid Slug put his name into the hat. I think that's the right expression. Anyway, he gave an impressive performance against Highlander and then again in the finals against returning name Frank the Tank, eventually taking home the win and subsequently the super heavyweight slap fighting championship. And Darius continued to be the undefeated heavyweight slap fighting champion, beating great fighters like Frank the Tank, Rocky and Southpaw Outlaw, but he faced his biggest challenge yet at the highly anticipated Slap Fight Titans Clash event. Darius was up against Wolverine, a returning opponent who was now number 2 in the world and lightweight slap fight champion. It had been over a year since the 2 fighters clashed, and when I say they had both improved massively, I mean it. This fight was the biggest slap event so far and even had a special guest commentator who we'll talk about later. This became the longest slap fight to ever take place with 27 rounds of slaps. Darius the Destroyer came out on top after the doctors called off the fight, which meant that Darius was now 14-0 in slap fighting. On the same event, Solid Slug also defended his title, being victorious over his opponent, and shortly after this event, the first women's slap fight match took place. This was a highly successful match, bringing in over 5 million views on YouTube. The fight saw Tekka come out victorious over opponent Death Slap after a dominant performance across 7 rounds. After his crazy fight with Wolverine, Darius had his next challenge when he rematched Frank the Tank for the heavyweight slap fight championship, and unsurprisingly Darius once again won, showing why he was the undisputed undefeated slap fight heavyweight champion. It's a mouthful. That's what The Slap Fight League has now been going on for around 6 years, and over that time a lot has changed, other than Darius being the heavyweight champion. But that's not the only league. A bit like WWE has its SmackDown of Raw, so does the world of slap fighting. Our next league is called Punchdown, which will later be rebranded to Slap Fighting Championship. The first Punchdown event was held in 2019, and after the eliminations, quarterfinals and semi-finals, it eventually ended in a draw between both competitors as they agreed to stop and share the prize, which is a rare thing to see nowadays in slap fighting, but but it's good to have it as an option to protect both competitors' health. But it was in the second event that we were introduced to one of the best slap fighters to ever step up to the table, Zales, who after dominating throughout the entire event took home the victory over his opponent Angry Monster in the finals. But this was only the beginning for Zales, as he also went on to win the Punchdown 3 event against another huge name in the slap fighting world, Dumpling. Zales didn't compete in Slap Fight 4 due to a weight limit, but won the Punchdown 5 event, showing his clear dominance over the competition, winning literally every event he competed in and was still undefeated. But would it stay like that for long after this next event, which was arguably the biggest slap fighting event and crossover to ever take place? The first event under the new name SlapFIGHT Championship was hosted by Logan Paul and Arnold and took place on the 5th of March 2022 and featured one of the biggest slap fights to ever take place, Zales versus familiar name The Crazy Hawaiian. Zales went into the fight 16-0 in slap fighting. The first round was a controversial one, with Zales not putting his chin out enough and The Crazy Hawaiian missing his slap, saying it was due to movement by Zales. In the second round, Zales got wobbled for the first time by a huge slap and people thought it was over for him. But just when people thought he was down and out, he got back to the table and got ready for the third round. And it only took one slap in the third round, but who would win? Zales dropped The Crazy Hawaiian to take the win and cement himself as one of the greats in slap fighting. And before we see some of the newer leagues, we have to take a look at how slap fighting got as popular as it did, and we can't talk about that without talking about a specific YouTuber. Over the years, slap fighting has gone from a relatively unknown sport to a huge event in the combat sports industry, with Dana White even setting up his own slap league, and a big factor for the success of the sport is a YouTuber by the name of Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, or Charlie. Charlie first found the sport on the 8th of May 2019 and posted a video of him watching it titled Slap Fightings Are For Real Man, which now has over 10 million views. And this wasn't a one-off, as he would go on to post over 30 videos about the slapping sport, getting well over 100 million views combined across all the videos, and because of this he was invited to be a guest commentator on the Titans Clash slap fight event. Charlie has played a big part in the success of slap fighting and has introduced millions of people to the entertaining events that take place across the different slap fighting leagues. And speaking of slap fighting, we have Dana White's new slap fighting league called Power Slap. In October of 2022, Power Slap was approved by the Nevada Athletics Commission, and it seems that after seeing other slap fight events, Dana stepped up his efforts to start the Slap Fight League and promotion of his own slap fighting events. Power Slap started off by signing Darius and Wolverine as coaches and started their first event called Road to the Title on the 18th of January 2023. In the event, we saw many new fighters, but there was one fight that got people interested in the world of Power Slap, and that was Darius the Destroyer versus Wolverine for the Power Slap Heavyweight Championship. This was the third time they'd faced off in a slap fight, and I'm predicting that it won't be the last, as the fight didn't go as smoothly for Darius as it usually does. The fight began and the unexpected happened when Wolverine won by TKO in the first round and finally got the victory over Darius that he had been waiting for years. A lot of people think that this sport is too dangerous, with an article saying critics believe slap fighting is a senseless sport and poses an unnecessary risk to the health of the participants. In MMA, boxing and other combat sports, fighters have the ability to protect themselves at all times. In slap fighting, the aspect of defense is taken away. The end result is two people trading consecutive blows to one another. So my question to you, the audience, or the 5 people that are still watching, is what do you think about the slap fighting leagues, and do you think it could ever be an official sport? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, because one day I want to high five The Rock.